Hey guys, welcome back. It's good to see you again. In my last video, I showed you how to revive an old MacBook Pro using OpenCore Legacy Patcher. But what if you also want to install and dual boot Windows? Today I'm going to show you how to install Windows in UEFI mode, which gives you faster boot times and modern compatibility, such as installing Windows 11 and bypassing the TMP 2.0 and secure boot requirements. UEFI matters because Legacy BootCamp installs Windows in BIOS compatibility mode. That limits things like GPT partition handling, modern bootloaders, and compatibility with newer Windows installs, just to name a few. UEFI mode works much better with systems running OpenCore Legacy Patcher, which is important since we are running a legacy Mac that used OpenCore in our previous video to bypass Apple's OS limit and install a later version. In my case, a 2013 MacBook Pro from Big Sur to Ventura. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is head over to Microsoft and download the Windows disk image, better known as the ISO file. You can find the link in the description for both Windows 10 and Windows 11. Once you've selected the edition and the language specific to you, go ahead and download the 64-bit version. Save it somewhere easy to access because we're about to use it in the next step. Once our ISO is finished downloading, it's time to create the USB installer. OpenCore recommends that you use a program called Rufus. It's completely free and open source. However, the catch is that it only runs on Windows, so you would need a second machine already running Windows to use it. If you don't have a second machine and you only have your Mac, you can use Apple's BootCamp to create your installer as well, but you're limited to Windows 10. Windows 11 has some requirements that legacy Macs don't meet, such as Secure Boot and TMP 2.0, just to name a few. Rufus allows you to bypass these though, so if you're trying to install Windows 11, you will need to use Rufus. Let me show you the process for both of these though, just so you know what to expect. We'll start off with Rufus. Once you have the application open, make sure you have your USB device selected here. You want to make sure the boot selection is disk or ISO image, and then select your ISO image we just downloaded. From there, verify the partition scheme is set to GPT and the target system UEFI. From there, under Format Options, we're going to rename this volume label to something a little more memorable. I'm going to call it Windows Installer. From there, as long as file system is set to NTFS, you should be ready to press Start. If you're using Windows 10, you're going to get this revoked bootloader detected message, and that's totally normal. Just hit OK. This is where Rufus allows you to customize the Windows installation, and where if you're trying to install Windows 11, Rufus is required. If you're installing Windows 11, it'll look like this. Windows 11 has a few more requirements than Windows 10. It requires 4 GB plus of RAM, Secure Boot, and TPM 2.0. It also requires an online Microsoft account. Without these, you'll get an error that says this PC can't run Windows 11. So you'll need to check both of these before continuing if you're using Windows 11. So back on our Windows 10 example, seeing as all of these can be edited during setup, just press OK. This is letting you know your USB is going to be formatted. Again, hit OK. From there, it's going to create the USB installer for whichever Windows ISO you selected. And once it finishes, you can close out of Rufus. So that's the process for Rufus. It's what you'll have to use if you're installing Windows 11, but it also works for Windows 10. Now I'm going to show you how to use BootCamp if you only have your Mac. But again, you're limited to Windows 10 here. But if you ask me, Windows 10 is better anyway. So on your Mac, open up your applications and go to BootCamp Assistant. It's a default application Apple includes with all legacy Intel Macs. You'll want to uncheck Install Windows 10 or later version because we're going to do that manually. Just ensure this top part here, Create Windows 10 or later installed disk is selected, and then hit Continue. Here, ensure your Windows 10 ISO is selected, and then verify your destination disk is the USB device that you've plugged in. Go ahead and hit Continue, and BootCamp will create your Windows 10 USB installer. Now that you know the process for both Rufus and BootCamp, let me show you how they differ slightly before we actually use the installers. So if I plug in the installer created by Rufus, as you can see here, here's the label we gave it, Windows Installer. If I open that up and sort it, these are the files and folders you should have in yours to make sure this setup is successful. You'll also notice Rufus creates a separate volume called UEFI NTFS, and that is completely expected and normal. It's just the EFI bootloader that Rufus uses. No big deal, you can ignore that. If I plug in the other installer we created with BootCamp and I open it up, you'll notice it has the exact same files and folders highlighted in blue, but it also has 3 others. These are drivers added by BootCamp specifically for things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPU to allow your Mac to interface with Windows. You may or may not need them depending on your specific Mac model, so if you install with Rufus and end up needing them, I'll show you how to get them after we finish the install so you know what that looks like. Now that we have our installer ready to go, it's time to create a separate partition on our hard drive to install Windows on. Partitioning your hard drive basically just means to divide it up. macOS provides a built-in application called Disk Utility that allows us to do just that. Head on over to your applications and open up Disk Utility. From here, we're going to select the top level hard drive, which in my case is the Apple SSD, and then we're going to head over here to our options and select Partition. We're then going to select the plus sign under the big blue circle here, and we're going to click Add Partition. Ensure you don't click the blue one that says Add Volume. You want to click the one that says Add Partition. You can then adjust the slider to the size that you want your Windows partition to be. I usually go over here and enter the size manually, and I would give it at least 100 gigabytes. I'm then going to change the name to Windows 10 since that's what we're installing, and I'm going to ensure that the format is exFAT. Go ahead and click Apply, and then verify your Windows partition to be added, and the macOS will be resized. You can then click Partition, and it's going to give you a warning just letting you know that this may take just a moment and your computer may not respond. It will tell you that this can take up to an hour, but it generally never takes more than 60 seconds. Once completed, you can go ahead and click Done and verify that the partitions match the sizes that you entered. Now we can go ahead and close Disk Utility, insert our USB installer for Rufus, and then restart our computer. Ensure you're holding the Option key while it reboots, and you'll get a bootloader that looks like this. You want to ensure you choose the EFI bootloader here with the blue OpenCore icon. Here, you'll recognize the UEFI volume that Rufus created earlier. Go ahead and select that now to start our install. If you're using an installer created through BootCamp, it'll look just a little different, but you still want to select the EFI boot with the OpenCore icon. And instead of UEFI, BootCamp calls it Windows, so you'll select that now. From this point forward, the installation for either method you choose is basically the same. Once you get to the Windows setup, you'll basically walk through it just like you would any other Windows installation. Enter your product key if you have it, or do it later once it's installed. Go ahead and select the operating system you have a key for and hit Next. Go ahead and agree to the Microsoft terms and hit Next. And here you want to make sure you hit Custom Install Windows Only since we're not upgrading from anything. Once you reach this phase of the installation, you want to pay extra attention to be sure you're installing Windows to the correct partition. The partition you need should be labeled what we called it when we created it in Disk Utility, but if not, you can verify by looking at the size. But you'll notice it says Windows can't be installed on this partition because it's not in the correct format. OpenCore documentation states the best way to do this is to click Delete once you've selected your partition, click OK, and then reselect that drive, which will now be called Unallocated Space, click New, and then click Apply. This will allow the Windows setup to format the drive and create any extra partitions it needs to run Windows correctly. That should only take a second, and then select the partition of roughly the size we created earlier, in my case 100 gigs, so this one's the 93 one here, and then click Next. Real quick, while you're waiting for Windows to install, I'm trying to get my channel off the ground, so it would mean the world to me if you gave this video a like if you find it helpful, and subscribe if you want more content similar to this in the future. Thank you all for watching. At this point, it will install the operating system to that partition, and then it will restart. Ensure you're holding the Option key when it does so you enter into the correct bootloader. Just like last time, select the blue OpenCore icon. And this time, make sure you choose the Windows with the hard drive icon. That way you continue the installation where it left off before it restarted. At this point, Windows will do a bit of loading and then it will reboot once more. And just like we previously did, select the Windows OpenCore boot icon and then the Windows with the hard drive icon. Now it should finally load into the Windows onboarding setup. From here, it's mostly self-explanatory, but I just want to take a moment to get to the part where it asks about Wi-Fi to show you that it doesn't have the driver on my specific Mac and what that looks like. So as you can see, whether we use Rufus or the BootCamp installer, you're going to run into this driver issue depending on what model you have. And if that's the case, you just select I don't have the internet, and then here you'll select Continue with limited setup, and then we'll address the issue once we load into the Windows desktop. Once you make it through the rest of the onboarding, you'll finally make it onto the desktop. So again, you'll notice here there's no Wi-Fi, and that's kind of an issue because we can't use the internet to update our drivers, so we'll have to do it manually. And we'll do this via BootCamp. If you remember at the beginning, the BootCamp installer adds the drivers we would need onto the installer for us. So if you installed via the BootCamp USB, this will automatically pop up for you to install the needed drivers once you load the Windows desktop. However, if you use Rufus, you will have to download these drivers manually on a separate USB. To download just the drivers, you'll have to put in a blank USB back on your macOS, go to Applications, and open up the Disk Utility. This is because we have to format our USB in a way that Windows can read. So select your USB, click Erase. I'm going to call it Windows 10 Drivers. You have to make sure the format is exFAT, and then make sure it's the master boot record scheme, and then click Erase. Once that finishes, you can click Done, exit out of Disk Utility, go back to your Applications, and once again, open up BootCamp Assistant. To grab just the drivers, hit Continue, uncheck where it says Remove Windows 10 or later, and just select Download the latest Windows support software from Apple, and then click Continue. and make sure you select the USB you inserted and click Continue. Once this process completes, you'll be ready to boot back into your Windows partition and install the drivers. Back on Windows, insert the USB drive we just prepared, and we're going to get ready to install the drivers. You'll want to head into the BootCamp folder and then double-click the Setup executable. This will open up the BootCamp program that automatically starts if you used BootCamp Assistant to create your installer, and from here, the process is the same. Once finished, if we go back down to our Internet widget, we now have our Wi-Fi driver working enough to connect to the Internet, and from there we can perform system updates to grab the latest drivers for the rest of our system. For those who have never used BootCamp before, you should have a BootCamp icon in your system tray that will give you access to the BootCamp control panel where you can edit some of your trackpad and keyboard settings. At this point, we have everything working as expected, but we have one last thing to do to ensure we avoid issues down the road. OpenCore is very explicit about getting rid of the Windows option from the stock Bootpicker. This will prevent you from accidentally starting Windows outside of OpenCore, which will try to start it expecting a BIOS install when we installed it through OpenCore using UEFI. So on your macOS, head into your terminal and then type disutil space list. In this list, you're looking for the label called EFI, specifically the identifier associated with it. In my case, disk0s1. Once you have that, go ahead and type sudo make directory, and then you're going to enter /volumes/EFI. Go ahead and enter your password, and then you have one more command. We're going to enter sudo mount -t space ms-dos space /dev/disk, and then this is your identifier. So in my case, disk0s1, and then space /volumes/EFI. This will mount this in a place that we can see it visually. So if you go to your Finder, you should see the EFI volume we created here, and if you enter it, we can head into the EFI folder here and delete this boot record that OpenCore suggests that we boot, this one here. So we've got our Apple, Microsoft, and OpenCore bootloader, so we're going to get rid of this folder called boot. So just right-click it, move it to trash, and then we're going to go into our trash and delete it from there. That way it's permanently gone. Now we can exit out of that folder, and we're going to unmount the EFI directory. To do that, we'll type sudo space disutil space unmount space and then the volumes EFI. And that's it. Well, that does it for this video. I hope I was able to assist you in dual booting Windows on your legacy Mac. These devices are very capable machines, so it's nice to give them a second chance at life rather than having to throw them away and buy a new one. Although those new M5 Macs are looking sick. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you right here in the next one.